Good morning, scholars. Today we're going to complete our course in ancient Greek by looking at the numeric adjectives and adverbs. So these are the numbers, which are not unoften the last thing one will encounter in a textbook. So there's something a little special about the cardinal numerals from 1 to 4, and that is simply that they are declined. And we see 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, of course, is the strangest one. Heis, mia, hen. Heis, mia, hen in the nominative. Henos, mias, henos in the genitive. Hene, miai, hene in the dative. Hena, mian, hen in the accusative. So pretty straightforward. In the neuter form, hen, hen, the nominative and the accusative will always be the same, but somewhat strange that the feminine goes to mia, mias, miai, mian. Now regarding 2, you see duo and duoin, genitive dative, but Homer can also have duo with an omega. You see 349D that I have above here has some of the Herodotean and Homeric variations on these, which are the Attic forms featured in Smythe. So regarding 3, you have trace and tria. We talk of a tripod in English, so that's not hard to get. Trion being the genitive, trisse, trissen being the dative, and the accusative being trace, tria, identical to the nominative. Regarding 4, you have tetares, tetara, tetaron, tetarse, tetaras, tetara. So these are the ones that are a little strange in that they do decline, whereas for the rest, we'll see, are more straightforward. So, as is always the case, you're going to have your cardinal, your ordinal, and your adverbio. And your cardinal, of course, is just your number, 1, 2, 3, 4. Your ordinals are first, second, third, fourth. And your adverbs are once, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times. Okay? So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is heis, mia, hen. Duo, tres, tria, tetares, tetara, and pente. And then for the ordinals, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, protos, deuteros, tritos, tetartos, pentos. And then again for the adverbs, once, twice, thrice, etc., hapax, dis, tris, tetrakis, pentakis. And we will see this akis suffix as being the mark of the adverb and pretty easy to spot, so we won't really have to give much notice to it. So 1 through 5 again. Heis, mia, hen, duo, tres, tria, tetares, tetara, pente. Now 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hex, repeat after me. Hex. 7, hepta. 8, octo. 9, enea. And 10, deca, like we talk of a decade. So, and then for the adjectives, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, hektos, hebdamos, ogdaos, henatos, dekatos, on. And then again, we have the akis suffix, so hexakis, heptakis, oktakis, enakis, decatakis. But golly gee, I could probably count on one hand the times I've encountered any of these adverbs, i.e. the third column members in my reading. So you really want to just concentrate on the ordinals and the cardinals. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So for 11, hendeca, 12, dodeca, 13, tres kaideca, 14, tetares kaideca, 15, penta kaideca. 16, hek kaideca, 17, hepta kaideca, 18, octo kaideca, 19, enea kaideca, and then 20, ekose. Repeat that. Ekose. Ekose. That's 20. So 21 will be heis kai ekose, or ekose kai heis. And then 30, triakonta, 40, tetrakonta, 50, pentakonta, 60, hexakonta, 70, heptamekonta, 80, octoekonta, and 90, enenekonta. So the multiples of 10, you see the suffix konta, 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 konta. Triakonta, tetrakonta, pentakonta, hexakonta, hebdomekonta, ogdoekonta, enenekonta. And then, when you talk about the 30th, triakostos, tetrakostos, pentakostos, hexakostos, hebdomekostos, ogdoekostos, ekostos, and then going to the adverbs, you just are looking for the akis suffix. So now 100 is hekaton. Hekaton. So, and 200 and the other multiples of 100 are all expressed by this suffix kosioi. Kosiai, kosia. Kosia. So, dia kosioi is 200. Tria kosioi is 300. Tetra kosioi is 400. Penta kosioi is 500. Hexa kosioi is 600. Hepta kosioi is 700. Octa kosioi is 800. And ena kosioi is 900. Now 1,000 is expressed by ki lioi. Ki lioi. I, ah. And if we look at this entry in the Liddell and Scott for ki lioi, I, ah means 1,000, equivalent to Latin mille. It commonly agrees with its substantive, but is also a substantive followed by a genitive. So you could have kilioi pentoponesion, that is 1,000 of the Spartans, of the Peloponnesians. And to express 1,000 drachmae, that is a amount of currency, you could have simple kilii, is often used alone. So Demosthenes perikilion kendunauen, to gamble for wage or danger for 1,000 drachma. Now in military language, it occurs in the singular with collective nouns. So hippos kilie, 1,000 horse. So 2,000 dyskilioi, 3,000 triskilioi, then etc., etc., and then 10,000 murioi, murii, muria. Remember, we had the murii, menenai de tea pelea do akileos, ulomenen he muriakaioi algeetica. So we had the 1,000, it wasn't in that context 10,000 literally, but we'll see how murioi works. But in the exact sense, it is the number 10,000. Like this murioi is 20,000, and then dekakis murioi is 100,000. But let's take a look at the dictionary entry for murios, muria, murion. Generally, it means most commonly simply numberless or countless or infinite. Okay? Properly of number and commonly in the plural. You find that in Homer. And in the singular, as we've seen, with collective nouns. So, murion kerados. What's a kerados? I forget. I apologize. So, murion kalikos, 1,000 or 10,000 shields, probably. Remember, we saw that kalikos can be used for all types of instruments. But then 2, you see of size. Again, murios aon is measureless, immense, infinite. So pentos, murios is, immense suffering. Akos, murios is immense pain. Okay, murios keleutos is an endless journey. Murios chronos, Pindar uses that. Muriae opsis, all kinds of sights, from Herodotus and onwards. Then 3, in the neuter plural, muria as an adverb means much or immensely or incessantly. So klaein, muria, means to cry incessantly. That's found in the Greek anthology. Now the dative can be used as an adverb as well. So murioi, sopoteros. Sopoteros is the comparative of sopos. So infinitely wiser, murioi, sopoteros. And murioi beltion, infinitely better. Murion kalion, infinitely more beautiful. But as a definite number, you see the plural, murioi, murii, muria, 10,000, which is the greatest number in Greek expressed by one word. And again, in the singular, we see hippos, murii, 10,000 horse, aspis, muria, Xenophon, 10,000 shields. Okay, so one does not really encounter the numbers very often, except in certain authors. You'll encounter them in the historians Herodotus and Thucydides, and famously you'll encounter the numbers at the latter part of Book 2 of the Iliad, where you get the catalog of the ships, all the ships, the leaders, and the number of that sailed to Troy. But to transition out of this lesson and into our next stage of the course, we're going to just look at this first opening little bits from the Book 8 of Herodotus. So Herodotus of Heliconarcis lived 484 through 422 BCE, and he's known as the father of history for reasons I will not go into here. But his Book 8 of his work, describing where he presents a catalog of the Greek forces that were assembled to confront the Persian navy at Artemisium. It begins, hoi de Helenon, est ton nauticon straton tactentes, esan, hoide. Athenaioi men, neas par egomenoi, hecaton kai ekose kai hepta. So just you see our first number, hecaton kai ekosi kai hepta. So 127. And then it continues after a little bit of some other information. Corinthioi de tesseraconta neas par ekonto. The Corinthians, they supplied 40 ships. And Megares de ekose. And the Megarians, 20 ships. So, like I say, you only see the numbers in these types of military situations, but it's important to learn them. Back in my Berkeley PhD days, there was an unfortunate student, a guy in our class who was taking the PhD Greek exam, and he'd never learned his numbers. And there was a passage with numbers on it, and when he couldn't properly translate those numbers, boy oh boy, the reviewers of the test tore him a new one. They were not pleased with that at all. It was not a good showing. So learn your numbers, and they're a little dull, but they're important. Okay, so that's it for this course. I think we will, after this, start in on this Herodotus book 8 for reasons that I will talk about when we begin. But congratulations on having finished this course. It covers a good 4 semesters of very high level college Greek. So if you have worked hard to assimilate all of this, you are well on your way in the Greek language. So I bid you farewell and thank you for this opportunity for sharing my great love with you. Goodbye.